Hi, this is the beginning lesson of the entire grammar section of your classroom. And this material was developed by Dr. Montessori to give the child an idea of grammar or the structure of language in three-dimensional space. And it's really the verb sphere and the noun pyramid. There may be another name for this material. I'm not aware of it. But this really goes first. And it's usually presented to a kindergarten student or preschool or early childhood, pre-primary student. But if you have children who have never had the Montessori sequence of grammar before, you would certainly give them this lesson as well. The direct aim of the lesson is to present the idea of a verb and action and to present the idea of the noun. The indirect aim, as I said before, is to give a connection of a concept that's fairly abstract, like grammar, and turn it into something three-dimensional so that the child can understand it better. With this lesson, as you saw or as you will see in the lesson with the child, I started out actually by having the child hold this in their hands and roll it very gently to me, and we rolled it back and forth. And again, to emphasize that this isn't a ball to roll, but in this lesson that we want it to show energy, that verbs have energy. And then we tried to roll the pyramid and it didn't roll very well. So again, when the child holds this in their hand, they can see that these edges are flat and it's supposed to be more stable. It's not supposed to move around so much like the verb sphere does. So you can name the sphere as it is, and this is a triangular pyramid. And then the next step is to introduce the grammar box and explain to the child that, for the purposes of writing on paper and working on paper, that we now have a two-dimensional representation of this, and that this is a two-dimensional representation of this. So really these are the only materials required except for these label cards. And I just have a discussion with the child about what an action is. I would not name the verb with a younger child, but with an elementary age child I would. And then I would define it as action and energy, and then talk with the child about just some lists, that let them come up with the names of the verbs. And then the same thing with the noun, that it's a person, place, or thing for this purpose. You don't want to get into the other definitions. This one is fine. And then again, just have them come up with names. If they can spell it and write it themselves, great. They can write the cards or you do it for them. And then with the verb lesson or the verb part, I try to have them act out the verb to show, kind of reinforce that it's energy. And then we talk about how it's hard to act out horse. You can act out a horse running, but you can't act out horse. So you just have that discussion, and that's really the intention, but it's a very important lesson to give the child a sensorial idea of what this abstract concept of grammar is all about. There's really no need to practice this lesson independently. This is really an introductory lesson that's given by the teacher. And then how you determine mastery, again, as long as the child can participate in the discussion, they're not really supposed to have mastered much by now because this is the introduction. So again, it's not as critical to determine mastery of this lesson because you're going to be practicing these concepts a little bit later.